Okay, so today we have someone really exciting.
Oh, I love her so much.
I know.
She's a great horsewoman. She is an incredible rider and just an inspiration to us all.
All of us.
Yeah.
Taylor Land.
Yep.
Taylor Land. She's and she's so tiny. She's this tiny little thing and she jumps these huge, big
I know.
I call them big girl jumps. They're like taller than me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And it's in this episode, we talk about all things, you know, her regiment, what she does for not only herself, but her horses.
Yep.
She dives into all of the insides of what her regiment looks like, especially down in Florida, which I'm so jealous we're not there. But also I want to give you guys a little inside tip. If you guys sign up for our emails, we're going to send you something really exciting, a little inside scoop from Taylor. So make sure you do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode and let us know what you think. Well, hello. So have you ever met
Not
Alexis
officially.
before?
No. I follow you on Instagram though.
I don't think so. Hi.
Hi, I'm Alexis.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I ride with Julie Moore at Brittmore since I was like a kid. So.
Oh my gosh. Love her.
I know.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. So many things. So first of all, so we're here with Taylor Land, who I feel like we've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like back when you were living in like Alpharetta area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, great things, great times. Yeah. What a beautiful farm. And that was we'll talk about that here in a second, but tell everybody who you are. And I know you're down in Florida and what you're doing and all of the things. So give a little quick introduction.
So my name's Taylor Land. I'm based in Noonan, Georgia most of the year. And I'm currently in Ocala for the winter. I have a boutique show jumping barn. I have a mix of my own horses and some sales horses and some clients. And right now we have 10 horses in the barn. And we're just showing at HIP and WAC in Florida. And I focus jumpers. And yeah, we've been having a lot of fun.
I mean, amazing. And so I think the first question, when I came up with all of your interview questions, I was laughing to myself because the first question I asked her was, you jump like the big girl jumps, like
huge.
like, you know,
she always has.
I know. No, I know.
But now as adults.
Yeah. I mean, we're adults now and I'm like still doing my schooling hunter and my silver stirrup and all of the things. And Taylor's like, no, I'm going to like jump to the moon.
She's got BDE.
Yeah. She has major BDE. Major BDE. So I kind of want to start there. So I would love to kind of hear like what, you know, do you ever get nervous? Like what, like, do you ever get when like charging up to those big old things? Like, are you ever scared, nervous? Tell me your thoughts.
I mean, I do get nervous, but I try to look at it as a positive thing. I try to do, I feel like when you're showing, you know, it's a combination of your preparation and your plan. Like you need good preparation, you need a good plan, you know, and you need to have confidence in yourself and your horse. Mm-hmm. And so I do get nervous, but I look at it more as positive pressure, and I try to just channel that towards my focus in the ring. And I do have routines that I rely on so that I feel like I'm ready to go.
That's amazing.
I always think I try to do similar things like in the morning before I show. I like to run or do yoga, and that just gets me in the mental space where I feel ready. And I also have certain exercises for each horse that I try to do in advance. And I keep my routine pretty similar. I like to eat before and feel strong, feel ready to go, and make sure that I'm hydrated. And I also, before I go in the ring, I always find a minute to close my eyes and go over the course in my head and imagine jumping my plan with that individual horse and like how each moment is going to feel, how I want each jump to be. And I find that having those routines really helps me feel ready. And that those nerves become a positive pressure.
That's a great point. And I feel like a lot of these, these top riders like yourself that we interview, a lot of visualization. Everybody says visualization and how important that is.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, that's not something that I've never done. I have never done it, but hell, this year I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing
very
it.
like, let's just
do it.
Yeah.
I'm do it.
Yeah. I am 100% doing it.
I visualize.
I make everyone do it too.
Yeah.
It was like the thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to think about what you want to do. Think about what you want to have happen.
Yes.
In the Derby, I visualized my very lazy horse breaking, like doing the trot jump and then not cantering after. 100%. That's what happened.
That's what happened. You put it into the universe.
And I was like, damn it.
Mm-hmm. No, I make everyone do it. All my students, and if they seem like they're more nervous before a class, sometimes I'll be like, get off your horse, walk over there, close your eyes, go through your plan. I think it's really important. And you need to be, you can't be rushing. You can't, even if sometimes in the moment there is pressure at horse shows and you have to be rushing a little bit, but you have to, it only takes 30 seconds.
Right.
You have to just take that moment.
100%.
And sometimes I even do it. I try to always do it by closing my eyes, but even sometimes, you go first in the class and you might not have time and I'll do it, just when I'm trotting around the ring, warming up, but I just blank out a little bit and just go through it in my mind. And for me, it's a really important part of my routine.
That's amazing. So, this podcast is surrounded around adult amateurs. Now, your students, are they a lot of juniors? Are they adult amateurs? Like what do you prefer to have as students?
I have mostly worked with young adult amateurs, but at this point I've worked with juniors a little bit. And then older adult amateurs as well. But I like everybody. I think it's really fun to work with people of all ages, as long as they're, motivated and love their horses and the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I feel like, as I said, we've known each other for a long time. And like I said, we can get into that. But I feel like watching you go and watching you transform. I mean, obviously your family is very, your father is your dad still training? Is he still training you?
He's not. I always love when he comes to support, and I always feel like I can go to him for advice. Sometimes I have him help me school at home, but he's not he's not training me all the time, but it's still really nice to have that support system.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's amazing. Now, in terms of because I know we talked about visualization, is there anything else that you, help your clients, like your adult amateurs when they're showing, like, is there anything else that you help them prep with? Like, if I was showing with you and I'm like, girl, I am like, I'm about to fall out.
What's your go-to, training secret for us adults?
Ooh, training secret. I mean, I'm a really firm believer in preparation, and nobody's going to feel as nervous if they're truly prepared. So, I think for me on the day of the show, I want to make sure that the horse is working, doing exercises. Like if they were very nervous the day before, then okay, we need to change something for the next day. We need to have a better plan.
Right.
And that doesn't just start with the ring. It starts before. It's like, okay, what are we doing in the morning? What do we need to work on? Maybe your horse needs some rideability exercises. So, we'll do some forward and backward pulls, or maybe we need to jump a little, coming off a little more, or going more forward. I try to incorporate a plan that's longer. It's not just about the showing in the moment.
Yeah. Now to prepare, I love that preparation is such a big thing for you. Now for your horses and your clients' horses, for preparation, is there like a go-to exercise that, because I know you guys don't jump them that big all of the time. So is there another, like what other exercises do you like to do to kind of prep yourself and prep your clients to get ready to show?
My favorite exercise are just 3 pulls in a row on the ground. I set them at, it's about a 5, each one is about a 5.5, the 2 parts of the line, and just go through it and do, like, first you start just doing a nice flowing 5 to each one, then you do a steady 6, then you do a 5 to 6 to 5. If you are feeling really comfortable, you could even do a 5 to 7, just mixing it up so that you really feel like all the buttons are there and the horse is ready to go.
Yeah.
And if I have space, I'll add a pull on a 90-degree angle in between the two, one of the 2 sets. And then you can also do 90-degree turns.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I mean, I think there's like a big common misconception about, especially, we show a lot of locals, and the jumper locals are obviously very different than, anything rated or more competitive. But I feel like jumpers overall get a rap of being, more forward, a little bit more out of control. And that exercise in and of itself tells us that your horses are so tuned in to what you need them to do. And that is very, very, I can imagine in my mind how difficult that exercise would be. I can imagine taking a lesson with you, and a lot of cursing would probably happen. So
no, definitely not. It would be good.
Yeah.
It would be good.
Yeah. But I think that's such a great point to kind of bring up, because I feel like a lot of the times, everybody trains differently, and, there's no right way or wrong way. Well, I guess there is, but, I really like that approach where you're like, hey, this is like a relatively somewhat simple exercise, but actually is extremely challenging and can really help you once you get out into that show ring.
For sure. And I do think when you are confident that you can control your horse forward and back, you go into the ring feeling much more prepared, because you're not worried that your horse is going to run away with you if you have to move up in the line, or that if you start pulling, you're not going to be able to add, or that they're going to fall behind you. When you have those buttons, then you feel more confident that you can make changes.
100%.
Yeah. I do have a question. So what does it look like when you're preparing for going down to Florida, or what does your off season kind of look like? How do you prepare? You jump, or you probably have clients that jump very big, and you jump pretty big at horse shows. What is your at home training look like? What is your routine to get them prepared for a season in Florida?
I do a lot of riding out. I try to do that at least 3 days a week, riding the horses on the hills, in the field. I think you can do the terrain does a lot of work for you. The horses get in good natural balance, and it helps the rider find the natural balance that the horse wants to go in and feel comfortable with that. And then I do a ton of pole work, honestly. That's
awesome.
That's what I do the most. And then I'll do that in combination with gymnastics. And then we do some course jumping too, but I do more pole work, and also like raised poles. I'll make them they're spaced a little bit off the ground. So then for the rider, it's a little bit more of a jump, but it doesn't take much out of the horses.
Yeah. Yeah. What I see a lot of, some people definitely have the philosophy of if you're going to move up, to the 3-foot or 3-6 hunters or whatever, you need to be doing that at home. And I just really find that for the horse, it's just super unfair to have that being schooled and drilled all the time. And so what I'm seeing more from kind of the more young and up and coming trainers is definitely the pole work and kind of the exercises that don't involve just jumping their legs off. So I really appreciate that. And that's why I kind of wanted to know how you prepare and get other people's experiences, as well as, how they prepare for horse shows.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes you need to jump jump a wider ox or jump a bigger jump to feel like you're ready. But I do think in general for the horses, they don't have to be jumping big at home. And a lot of times you can keep them more confident if they're jumping things that they're challenging in the sense of the horse's rideability, but they're not physically challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you are, I guess like for this question could go for both horse and rider, but let's start with horse first, because I really want to know, when you are horse shopping or when you are trying horses, what do you feel like you're looking for when it comes to competing at a Grand Prix level? Like what characteristics do your horses that you want to have in your barn need to have?
For me, I'm looking for particular physical characteristics. Of course, I want the horses to, have a good natural canter, a nice rhythm. I want them to feel athletic and be quick off the ground with their front legs, have a nice vestibule over the jump. But for me, also personality plays a big role. When I'm trying a horse, I want to feel like when they make a mistake, then they come back, they make an effort to correct that mistake. I want to feel like the horse is thinking and trying, and like they're working with you rather than against you. Because I really believe at the end of the day, for a horse to be successful at a high level, they have to want it and they have to fight for you. And you have to be on the same side. You can't make horses jump, and nobody wants to do that. You want to feel like your horse wants to do it. So I really look for those personality characteristics.
What a great answer.
Yeah, attitude is everything.
Yeah.
Horse and rider.
Yeah. Cause I truly have always wondered that, you're competing at such a high level that, the horse selection, obviously there's hundreds of thousands of horses out there, but really only a certain number of them can do the job at that level. And I got to meet one of your, was it Grumbles? Is that the little red horse that you had? So I got to meet him at your house when we did that photo shoot. And he was like such a little spicy boy.
Star.
Yeah. And he was so spicy. And I just he had so much personality. And I only got to meet him for a couple hours. And, but it was just so cool to kind of get that experience. And the fact that, because these horses are truly high performing athletes.
Yeah.
It's incredible what they do. So on that same breath, do you have in terms of maintenance, keeping your horses, in good condition, there's so many things. There's beamers, there's hot walkers, there's treadmills, there's, all the things, right? So do you have something that you're this is my routine, this is what I do, and I love it? Or does it kind of change?
Well, there are some things I try to keep consistent. I don't have a hot walker in Florida, unfortunately, but I do have one in Georgia. And I love using that to get the horses moving, because I do feel like the more, they move their bodies, the better. It's not, they weren't made to sit in stalls.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to keep their bodies moving. I like them to have paddock time and to get them out as much as I can. I don't like to give a lot of days off. I like to give light days, but I do believe that they should keep moving, and I like them to be very fit. I think that is great injury prevention. And as far as tools, my favorite thing is I have a 3V cold laser.
Nice.
And so if they have any areas that are sore, I use the laser, and that's just, that's what she believes in the most. And when I broke my arm a couple of years ago, I used it on myself, and it made an enormous difference, and it really made me a believer. And I also use acupuncture a lot on the horses.
Yes,
we love it.
Yeah, we love acupuncture. And that's so funny too, because I hurt my shoulder years ago, and I did shockwave for the first time. And I did 3 treatments, and I had the shoulder injury for I think 8 months. And then I was finally broke down, did shockwave. And I was holy shit, this actually really works.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's funny. It's cool when you get to use these products on yourself and actually get to reap the benefits and be okay, I'm paying this money to do it for my animal. It
Does
is
it work?
actually working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. Now,
Yeah, it gives you a new perspective.
oh, for sure.
Mhm.
For sure. All right, guys, quick break in the episode to talk to you guys about my favorite Essentia. You guys know I drink this all of the time, and they sent me this free case of water, and I just had to say a quick thank you to them and tell you a few reasons why I love it so much. So alkaline water, honestly, if you are out, and it's about to be summer sometime, and if you're out moving around, horse girls, you guys have to have this. Stay super hydrated. I'm telling you, I live by this stuff. So go do yourself a favor, go grab some Essentia, and you're not going to be sorry about it. Now, in terms of like your fitness and your regimen, I mean, if you guys don't know Taylor, she's a tiny little thing, and so
Tiny but very strong.
tiny but mighty,
Yeah.
right? And you ride these huge horses
Thank
going
you.
over these huge jumps. Now, how do you? I know you said you like to do yoga and run, and like, what other fitness things are you doing that keeps you like really able to do your job?
I do really prioritize fitness for both myself and my horses. I really believe in it. And I do think also for injury prevention, like show jumping is a sport. And so everyone needs to be physically prepared. And I love yoga. I've gotten more into yoga in the past few years. And I think as far as injury prevention, that's my number one thing. And riding makes you so tight in your hips,
Yes.
your shoulders. And for me, it makes a huge difference in how I feel. I love running for cardio fitness. I started doing that when I was a teenager because I had a horse who was amazing, but she was really hot and strong. She was my first higher level jumper. And I realized that I was consistently having 4 falls at the end of the course because I was just running out of wind fitness. I was running out of strength, and she would just drag me a little too deep to a jump. I was just tired of it.
Yeah.
So I started running, and it really, really made a huge difference for me.
Crazy. That's awesome.
I need to start running. I
Oh.
think.
I know. 'Cause you like by the end
Or
of the
biking.
Yeah.
by the end
Yeah.
of the course, you're just like so tired. And especially with me and like mine's super lazy. So on the other side of that, my legs just get fatigued. And so I start to like, my pace starts to go away. And I'm like,
Yeah.
slowly declining.
Yeah. Well, and we do the hunters, and like in the jumpers, it's like you guys do like a million fences. It's like so
Yeah,
many
long-
jumps,
long
long
courses.
courses. So, I mean, I jumped the first 2 and I'm like, holy shit, I have 6 more of these to do. But you know, I think that's really great. I mean, I feel like, I think that's definitely one thing that I want to prioritize for 2025 is fitness for myself. And, cause I feel like I haven't done that, but yeah, I think that's great advice because we have to be on our shit and our game if
Yeah.
we're going to ask our animals to perform for us. And I think that's always a really good reminder. So tell us your lineup of horses you have in your barn right now.
Okay, let's see. I would say my top horse right now is named Escobar.
Mm-hmm.
He's 10 this year, and he is, I mean, I've been lucky to have a lot of great horses, but as far as physical talent, I do feel like he's in a class of his own as far as the horses that I've ridden.
That's amazing.
He's just, he's so scopy and careful, and as far as personality, I truly think he has the best personality you can get in a horse. Like he's a fighter. He always gives his all, and you feel, you really feel like he loves it, and he's always putting in 110% for you. So he's a total blast. And my second horse that I have jumping bigger is named Caballero,
Mm-hmm.
and he's actually 16 this year.
Nice.
I got him when he was almost 14. It was in December of his 13-year-old year. And we were unlucky. He had some injuries like early on, so we didn't have a lot of time, but I feel like he's just now coming into his prime, and we're starting to jump a little bigger, jump to meter 50s. I'm going to try to do our first 3-star together in a couple weeks.
Yay.
That's so exciting.
I'm really excited. And he also, I mean, he's a special horse. He fights hard. He's really careful, and he's a total blast to ride. You feel he's like one of those horses you feel really strong when you're riding him. Like he's kind of big and like he has a big canter and he makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then, I mean, it's so much fun. I have a really talented 9-year-old in the barn right now who's owned by Quinn Larimer, and her name is Capricornia. And she's also just starting to move up to some bigger classes. She's going to also jump in the 3-star in a couple weeks.
Nice.
And yeah, that'll be her first FEI. So I'm really excited about that. She's also a real powerhouse, and I feel like she's just coming into her own. So we'll see what she can do this year. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
Yeah. And the rest of my crew is a little bit younger.
Yeah.
I have 2 6-year-olds that I think are really special. They're both new to me, so we're just easing in.
Getting to know each other.
Exactly. And I don't jump young horses a whole lot. I think it's really, for me at this point at 6, about getting the strength and the rideability and jumping gymnastics, getting their arc correct so they really know what to do at the jump. And then, later in the year, I'll show them a little bit more.
I love that.
I have a question for you. As a jumper, you hear people say the spicy mare over a gelding. What is your experience? And if you had the same horse, but one was a girl and a boy, like what would you go for? What do you shop for? Are you a mare fan? Some people are like, absolutely no. For the adult amateurs out there, I know a lot looking for a horse are like, I don't want a mare. I can't deal. But I do think that there is talent in a mare over a gelding. What's your experience with that?
Growing up, I always had mares.
Yeah.
I always considered myself to be a mare person. I had a lot of wonderful mares. And then in the past couple of years, I don't know what happened, but it was just like, I just ended up with a lot of spay geldings. And, but I love both. I mean, I can't say that I have a preference. Like when I got Capricornia, I hadn't had a higher level mare in a while. And it was so much fun to get back in that routine. Like, they're just a little bit different. It's a little more like, please, will you do this for me, please?
Yeah.
With the gelding, you're like, okay, this is what we're doing.
All right.
And they're like, okay.
Okay, cool. I guess I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you the same thing because I feel like, again, like it's exactly what Alexis said. Like, I feel like there's so much to try in a mare, and sometimes, at least in like what we're doing, sometimes the try is like, okay, like we don't need that much try.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so many amazing mares that are, especially when, we just watched the Olympics, there's some incredible mares that are just performing at the highest levels. And so yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, I think it's funny too, because it's weird how when, your horse journey goes on, you just seem to acquire like a taste in horses. You're like, all of a sudden, like you said, all of a sudden I have a bunch of big geldings. Like, I don't know how, it's just funny how like the universe kind of like works that out sometimes. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit and talk about like your personal life. Like, how do you balance like your personal life and your riding life? Like we talk a lot about in this podcast about like work-life balance and having relationships with your like a partner, or just even friendships that are outside of the horse world, and how it can be really hard because we're just it's a very dedicated sport, and especially at your level, for sure.
It definitely is. I wouldn't say that I have like an amazing work-life balance, but I do try. I do try. I think it's important. I mean, it's important to keep perspective and to do other things. Like I love the horses so much, but for me, like I love to travel. I love to like make sure that I'm experiencing other cultures and learning about other things in my life. I do have other hobbies. Like I love scuba diving.
Cool.
And I like to go snow skiing. So I try to prioritize those things and to keep my friendships alive outside of the horses. I think the only way you can do it is just by making an effort. When I'm home in Atlanta, I try to make an effort to see my friends outside of the horses and just keep in touch. And, you know, when you have true friends, they understand
for sure.
your lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's really, at the end of the day, that's really just the key, is having friends that understand. And if it's a true relationship, they, you know, nothing will come really in between that. But so for not only for 2025, but I'd love to kind of hear like obviously what your 2025 goals are, like what you're trying to do, but what are your, you know, your 5-year goals? Like, what are you thinking you're going to be doing, and what would you like to be doing?
I'm trying to continue to grow my business, have a good base of jumper clients in Atlanta, and also build myself as a rider. I am really lucky to have a good group of horses. I actually just bought a new 8-year-old with a group of owners, and I want to keep building my strength for the future. I would like to jump at a higher level than I am now. So Escobar, I really have high hopes for. I have the belief that he'll be a 5-star horse. I don't think you can ever say that until they do it.
Yeah.
But I have 100% belief in him, and that's in my, you know, goals for the next 2 years. And this next course, I hope will do the same. And I'm lucky enough, you know, to also have Cowboy to get me in the ring now, jumping Grand Prix, and keep me sharp. And I'll just try to keep building those horses for the future.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so exciting. Well, it's been so fun watching you, and just because I kept teasing the fact that we were going to talk about it, but Taylor and I did photo shoots together. I don't even know if I told you this, but
I think I've seen them like really early on.
Yeah. We did Style My Ride together. That was like, God, like what, at least
10.
At least 10.
Yeah.
At least 10 or more.
Mm-hmm.
But those were like really fun days, and I look back on those photos, and like some of them are still like really like some of my most favorite photos. And you and your sister, we all did it together, and it was incredibly fun. But yeah, that was a wild time back in the day, and it's just been so cool to watch you, and you've just evolved into this just really inspiring role model for this community. And I feel like, you know, as speaking of 10 years ago, or, you know, the culture, horse culture, and just the community in general has changed so much. Do you feel like, you know, especially, you know, not just adult amateurs, but really just everybody, do you feel like the community has changed in more of a positive way? Or do you kind of miss the way that, like, you know, things may have been 10 years ago, or, you know, a little bit more grassroots, or, you know, like, tell me your thoughts.
I mean, I think, you know, change is the only constant. So the world's always growing and changing. And I think, you know, there's a mix of positive and negatives in that. I think for show jumping, you know, like social media is a huge factor now. And in some ways that can be really positive, because you can learn a lot. There's a lot of information out there, but also sometimes it gives a skewed perspective of, you know, people who rise of their lives, and maybe a little bit too much focus on showing and results, and not enough focus on horsemanship. So I feel like for kids growing up now in horses, it's just important for trainers to help them keep perspective on what really matters, and that, you know, listening to your horse, learning your horse, training your horse, and focusing on what they need, and not getting too wrapped up in how everything looks is really important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to say, like, you know, I'm just so impressed by you, because I really think all the answers because we didn't prep a lot, you know, for this interview. And I mean, they're just so,
eloquent.
Yeah,
Very
and
eloquent.
very authentic
Thank
and
you.
wholesome. And like I said, you are, such an inspiration to not just, the local community, to the national community.
Yeah.
And it's been so cool to
Thank you.
watch you do this. And you kind of answered my last question, is like, if there was, for all of the children or all the kids that are coming up and watching you on social media and like, wow, that's what I want to do one day, like what advice would you give to them?
I would just say, love your horse, listen to your horse, and keep fighting. I mean, you have to have a lot of resilience in this sport. It's hard, and I talk to my clients and my working students about that a lot, because it doesn't matter how much you have, how much money, how many opportunities. It's never easy. It's a hard sport. You face injuries, your horses face injuries, you face setbacks, everybody makes mistakes, and you have to just keep a positive mindset and take that stuff as it comes and keep fighting, keep believing in yourself, and know that as long as you're focused on your goals, but you're not getting, too wrapped up in, I have to do this today, focus on your long-term goals. Do it one step at a time, and just believe in yourself and keep fighting.
I love that.
Oh, that's such a great
Fighting
answer.
has been like a really good, in a positive light. Like fighting is always seen as like a negative, but
Right.
this whole conversation has been amazing. Like fighting, you want fight in your horse, you want, fight within yourself,
Yeah.
and just like fighting for your goals, no matter whether they be little or they be big goals. I think fight.
Yeah. And
is
confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Have the fight in you, and
Yeah.
you can, be successful in whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, and we're little girls, sometimes little girls are underestimated.
Yeah.
And we're not always taught to speak up for ourselves and be confident. Sometimes, you're just supposed to like be looking cute in the corner. And I think it's important to keep advocating for yourself and fighting for what you want.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor, thank you so much for coming on with
thank
us.
you.
We'll definitely have to sit down with you in person when we get the opportunity and really, get to do a recap of how your winter has gone, because we'd love to hear about all your success for sure.
I can't wait to
Thank
watch.
you. I would love that.
Yeah.
This has been so fun.
Yeah,
course.
definitely. I follow you on Instagram. I can't wait to see, how you're doing in the 3 stars, and then Quinn Larimer's horse as well. Would love to see her go. So definitely keep posting too.
Yes. We want to see all
I
the
will.
things.
Encourage all of our viewers to kind of take a look at what you do and, really see how amazing you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Of
Thank you
course.
so much. This was really fun.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your day. I hope you
Good
get
luck.
out. It's a crappy rainy day here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
have more fun than we're going to have
yeah.
in the rain.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So we're lucky here. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, good. All right, well, you go enjoy, Taylor. Thank you so much, and we'll touch base soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
See you later.
Well, friends, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Adult Amateurs Guidebook podcast. We hope you enjoyed the discussion as always, and be sure to like and subscribe for more real and authentic conversations about the struggles and triumphs of balancing life and horses. Until next time, cheers to adulting and happy riding, friends.